Hey guys and gals, I'm Chris Olka, Principal Tuba of the Cincinnati Symphony Orchestra, and I'm coming to you today from Paris, France. It is the 8th of September, and I'm on the final leg of the Cincinnati Symphony's European tour. Uh, for those of you that are subscribers to my channel, you know that the format that I've been doing for the last number of years is to do drills and studies. And I'll continue to do that going forward. But since I had a little bit of free time today before rehearsal and sound check before tonight's concert, I wanted to take a moment and do a video that I've been meaning to do for quite a long time. But after my last trip to Japan, I figured I need to get this up to the top of my priority list. And what is the subject of today's video? It's the incredibly high level of tuba playing that's going on in the country of Japan, and specifically by Japanese tuba players, not just in the country of Japan, but worldwide. So I guess it was about 2 weeks before I left for tour with the Cincinnati Symphony Orchestra. I was honored to be asked to teach at the Hamamatsu International Wind Instrument Academy for 2017 this summer. And for those of you that aren't familiar with it, it's a world-class academy for wind instruments with top-notch faculty, brass players and wind players from around the world. Many major symphony orchestras and universities are represented by this faculty. And like I said, it was a big honor for me to be asked to do it. This was my 4th year doing it. But this year, it had been quite a number of years since I'd done my last stint at Hamamatsu Academy, and the first thing I want to say was I was amazed by the level of the students in my tuba class. I mean, they were at such a high level. I can say without any fear of contradiction that that tuba class, those students, that assembly of students that I taught for Hamamatsu Academy would have been a joy for any university or conservatory professor around the world to have. It was such a high level. There wasn't any weak players. There was, obviously everybody had their strengths and weaknesses, but as a general whole, the level was stunning. It was really noteworthy. And it made me think about what I've been experiencing and noticing a trend over the last 20 years that I've been visiting Japan. I think my first time in Japan was 1996, and here it is 2017, and it just keeps getting better, 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 and it was really good to begin with. So I wanted to say that, and I wanted to say that when I first came, kind of a trend that I noticed was that there was a very high level of technical proficiency, but like musical expression and kind of an espressivo style of playing didn't seem to be real comfortable in their repertoire as far as their skill set. But they were extremely proficient technically, and the sound was, again, these are generalizations, but the sound was not didn't seem to be a big focus. It was more on technique and skill in technical passages, kind of virtuoso playing. Well, they've kept all of that, and now these players are singing their heart out, man. They're making great musical decisions. There seems to be a real focus on that kind of espressivo playing that's musically engaging. And in addition, they play with the most gorgeous sounds. I mean, every one of them. Their gear is top shelf. They all invest. They're not afraid to invest a lot of money and buy the very best gear that they can find out there, and they're playing it to, a world-class standard. So, big shout out to my tuba class in Hamamatsu for 2017. You guys were great, guys and gals, fantastic. The second thing I wanted to talk about was just the overall hospitality and collegial nature of the tuba players that I've experienced historically every single time I've gone to Japan. Not just in Tokyo, of course Tokyo, but all over the country that I've been. Everyone has just been amazingly friendly. They've treated me with the, the warmest hospitality and the most cordial nature that you can imagine. And this includes some of the finest orchestral tuba players anywhere in the world, but specifically in Tokyo. So I want to give a big shout out to Kiyoshi Sato of Tokyo Metropolitan Symphony, Shin Ogino, a dear friend of mine from Tokyo Philharmonic, Shinpei Sugida, Yomiuri Symphony, and Hiroki Shiomi from Osaka Symphony. These players, on top of being truly world-class level players, were perfect gentlemen. And I was able to share dinner with one or both or all of them at some point during my many travels in Japan, but specifically on this last trip at the end of July and beginning of August for about 10 to 11 days. It was really an honor to get to meet them, and they treated me so well, and it was a good fellowship with them, like nothing I've ever experienced. It was such an honor. On top of that, the level of freelancing going on is on par with any major metropolitan area in the world. These guys are great players. Shout out to Akira Kono, Jinichi Kimura from Tokyo Disney. He's a fellow brother Disney guy. He's still out there marching parades and busting his hump. Daihei Kurashina, and especially my good buddy Keita Kimura. He was my translator for every tuba class that I've done in Hamamatsu. And I'm telling you, this guy has seen more great tuba players and translated for more great tuba players and been a part of their master classes than anyone. This guy could probably be a full-time professor just on the classes that he has translated for. And if you ever need someone to translate on any instrument, but into English into Japanese from English, he's your man. He's your man, and he's one of the greatest people I know. Dear friend of mine. So Keita-san, thank you for all your help. So I wanted to give a big shout out to those guys because they were great fellowship as well. I mean, there wasn't a night where I needed to find a place to eat or have a beer or five. But the last thing I wanted to talk about was probably something that was a real epiphany for me, and one of the high points of my travels to Japan was a chance to hear Yasuhiro Sugiyama and Massimo La Rosa from the Cleveland Orchestra. They gave a duo recital in Tokyo. While I was in Tokyo at the end of my travels there, I had gotten done with the Hamamatsu Academy and decided to spend a couple of days in Tokyo visiting friends and going to seeing sights and enjoying the food. And while I was there, I found that these two were doing a duo recital with piano in Tokyo. And of course, I had to go there and check it out. And I didn't know what to expect. I mean, how much music can a tuba and a trombone do with piano before you get bored? Well, I have my answer now. It was probably one of the top 5 chamber music experiences that I've ever had in my life. It was one of the most enjoyable and rewarding musical experiences that I could ever imagine. If you haven't heard these guys, individually of course, but if you haven't heard their duo playing, do yourself a favor. And I think they were recording a CD during that concert tour. If you have a chance to get it, buy it as soon as it comes out. Run, don't walk. Run and buy that CD. And they're doing, I don't know if it's annual or if it's going to be biannual or what the regularity is, but they just this year started a low brass kind of a boot camp thing called Yama. And it was going on at the same time the Hamamatsu Academy was going on, so I couldn't check that out. But when I heard their recital, it's like, okay, if this is any indication of what's going on at their low brass boot camp, any student from outside of Japan, you need to spend the money, quit wasting your money on, gimmicks and mouthpieces. Buy a plane ticket and audition. I don't know if it's an audition camp or not, but go to this camp and study with these two guys, because the level of playing that they're bringing to our instruments in the low brass world and to the chamber music community is second to none. You're not going to hear any finer chamber music than these two gentlemen. So, and after the concert, in typical fashion, they were wonderful gentlemen, very hospitable. I shared dinner with them and their friends, and it was a huge honor. So I've been meaning to do a video about this for a long time. I'm finally getting off my lazy butt when I've got a couple of hours free in Paris, and here I am sitting in my hotel room. But it needed to be done. It was long past due. So to all the people that I mentioned, and for all of those of you that I forgot and didn't call out by name, my apologies. But I hope to see you guys going forward, not just in Japan. Of course, it's always great to be a guest there, but I hope that we see you in the United States and in the West, because your contribution to our instrument and to the greater musical community is it's really unmatched. It's inspirational, and I look forward to hearing more of all the great things that all of you guys and gals are doing. So thanks again to Japan and all the great tuba players that are coming out of there, and hope to see you soon. Thanks.